Good morning and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show on this chilly October morning here in southwestern Pennsylvania. I'm Zach.
I'm Courtney.
And we have a great episode that kind of ties into the weather. Most of our topic today is going to be about outerwear, but we do have a few things to cover before we get there. We're going to teach you how to decorate it, kind of teach you the ins and outs of it, share a couple or at least one great resource with you about outerwear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Kick it
Let's
off early.
kick it off right. Courtney's feeling pregnant today, so let's get going. All right, so first we're going to start with our Look of the Week. This is a segment that we've been doing for the past few weeks, and our Look of the Week this week is brought to us by Nancy Moran Julian, and she has decorated a shirt, looks to be a lady's shirt, that has to do with the month of October. Tell us a little bit about it, Courtney.
Yeah, so the design was made with 2 colors of heat transfer vinyl. So we're looking at a glitter heat transfer vinyl as well as a basic single color vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose to kind of pull this design out from the Facebook page because it speaks a lot to what decorators have the opportunity to do right now with the month of October, with it being breast cancer awareness. Mm-hmm. So we see a lot of people having opportunities not only for more events with walks and runs and everything, but also being able to market to the schools and the teams that they're selling to and add a little bit of extra spirit if they're doing a specific game or the month where they're promoting breast cancer awareness.
Yeah, now that I know that you actually chose the Look of the Week, because I think Josh chooses it sometimes, but I see the Mean Girls reference there as well, the movie Mean Girls, which is what, probably 10 years old now?
It's a little older than that, I
It's
think.
a little old.
Yeah.
All right, well, I feel old.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I do too. Thanks for that.
All right, so if you would like to submit to Look of the Week, you can do that a number of different ways. You can tag us on Instagram at Stahls TV. You can put hashtag Look of the Week, hashtag Project Press It. You can also submit to Stahls Show and Tell on the Stahls Facebook page, all things heat printing. Is there any other ways to do it? I think you can email us, right? Yep. You can email us as well at tv@stahls.com if you would like to submit to be considered for the Look of the Week to be featured here on the Stahls TV Morning Show.
Yep.
I think we have some more happening on social media, right?
We do, yeah. Speaking of Instagram, we're actually doing an Instagram giveaway. It kicks off today. It actually just kicked off about an hour ago, which gives you a chance to win one of our 3 most popular looks from Project Press It. So you're seeing those 3 looks in the picture. We're going to choose 3 winners, and then to enter to win, each person will win 1 t-shirt. But to enter to win, just simply go to our Instagram page at Stahls TV, like the photo, follow us, and tag 2 friends in the comment section. And that'll give you an entry. It goes all the way through the week, but of course, if you're watching this now, you don't want to delay and forget about it. So go ahead and follow us there, follow those steps, and then you'll be entered to win. They're going to be chosen by random, and then that will be announced on the Instagram page next Monday on the 17th.
Okay, great.
Should be pretty cool.
We kind of skipped over it at the beginning. We've been welcoming our viewers on Facebook Live as well. So if you're watching us today on Facebook Live, welcome. You can tune in. You can register for all types of Stahls TV classes at stahlstv.com under our events page. Now, we have been progressing through a series of ways to elevate or improve your brand. We've been going through 8 ways, and today we're going to look at our 7th installment of ways to improve your brand, and this is brought to us by Josh.
Welcome to today's installment of our Stahls TV series, 8 Ways to Improve Your Brand. I'm Josh Ellsworth, and today I'm going to focus on how to improve your brand specifically through putting together a training program. And I really think that training is essential to building or establishing a brand in 2 ways. The first way is that it ensures that you can onboard employees easily and improves the overall satisfaction of these employees who know what they're supposed to be doing. But it also ensures a process to make sure that clients get a certain level of service and repeatable quality. And lastly, it provides a mechanism to ensure that employees understand what they're supposed to be doing, and this is really going to help you not only with that quality, but create a performance evaluation based around facts and clear goals. And that's really going to help in developing your employees. Now, I believe a training program should have 3 facets. Number 1 is a start and finish to each component with clear objectives and learning outcomes. Next, I think it should have a documented resource for employee reference and review. And lastly, I think a good training program should have a champion assigned to oversee the success of the program. So just to get into it, at its most basic, a training program should be a transfer of knowledge of your most critical tasks and processes. I think this is a great way to start. And so training naturally would start with documenting those critical tasks and processes to make sure you have those captured with how they're being executed today. And one way to do this would be to take the different roles and responsibilities that either you execute in the business or that's executed by different employees and document them. This is going to provide a roadmap for the training, and really it's going to ensure that you hit the target. And really, as an added bonus, you'll be able to create job descriptions based off these specific tasks that will now be roadmap, and it's going to help you with hiring as well. And so naturally, as you look to start this, you're going to be your own consultant for a few days, so it's a great process to go through, and you'll see opportunities at each step of the process when you step back and ways to do things better. So what I would do is, test your assumptions, make those tweaks and improvements that you see out there while you're looking at the different processes, and then complete something, because it's going to be an ongoing process, but you really need to define the training components, timelines, learning objectives, outcomes up front, because that's going to allow you to actually establish the program. And so now these outcomes, they should be measurable through an evaluation both after the training period has ended for an employee, and really should be measurable from the employee's performance at an evaluation time. So the training is going to take some tools and resources around it, and that's really the second step after you establish the process and really document what needs to happen, is by building these resources. And one of the easiest ways to do this is really just establishing an instructional booklet. It can be printed, it can be video instructions, but a good set of instructions should be geared to someone completely new. So I recommend having someone unfamiliar with that particular task try to follow this resource, this instruction set, to ensure they haven't missed anything or you haven't missed anything when you're setting it up. And I personally love a step-by-step guide. I think it's easier to follow, so consider that method when you're setting up your instructions. Now, even though you're building this resource to help, I wouldn't recommend just dropping the booklet on an employee and say, hey, here's your training. An actual person, a trainer or a coach, is always a good idea to have a good training program. And so when you consider that, I recommend somebody that's involved in the process or the job that's doing it day to day, and then you can implement job shadowing or mentoring to ensure a good onboarding experience. And this can even become somebody that the new employee counts on throughout their career and start to forge these relationships and transfer the culture. And it should go without saying, but obviously you don't want your mentor or your trainer to be a disgruntled employee because that's going to transfer a culture that you're probably not interested in. Lastly, the step in the process is to assign an overall champion to oversee the success of this. This is going to be someone that's committed to the training goals, making sure that it stays in sight and in mind, and that you don't lose track of this as time goes on. They'll want to review it occasionally with the goal of continuous improvement, because this is going to be an important step of improving that customer and employee satisfaction. It's really going to help you raise the talent level in your organization, and I believe that it's one of the most important steps to improve your brand and create a culture of talent development. So good luck as you form your training program and improve your brand. Thanks for watching.
So one thing that's probably important to our viewers with employee training, or at least I would like to know, is how many employees do our viewers actually have? So we're going to launch a poll real quick. If you guys could just take a second and fill it out. You have a couple different options. 0 employees, it's just you. Home business, 1 to 3, 4 to 7, or 8+. So we'll give you a few seconds to fill that out, and then Taylor will read our results here. We'll close it down in 3, 2, 1. I always wanted to do a countdown on the show. That was my chance. All right, Taylor, what are our poll results for number of employees that our viewers have?
78% say that it is just them.
Okay.
19% say 1 to 3 employees.
Okay.
0% said 4 to 7, and about 3% have 8 or more.
All right, sounds good. So most of our viewing audience doesn't have employees currently, but definitely something that you want to keep on the radar as you try to scale or continue to grow your business, that training is important. I also read one of the biggest challenges for entrepreneurial folks or people who are running a business that they started is delegating tasks, because you don't think anybody can do it as good as you can. And 9 times out of 10, I would probably say that you're right, because I feel the same way about the things that I have to do. But I read a good article in Inc. magazine all about delegation, and it says the best way to tell if you can delegate to somebody is if they can do it to 80% of what you could do it to. It's time to delegate, and you can move on to something more important that's going to be more revenue generating.
Yeah, I think we see that a lot with our customers, especially with heat printing, where you're worried about it being applied incorrectly. But obviously, there's always tools you can purchase to safeguard against that. Even just a ruler will help to make sure things are lined up straight as well.
Ruler.
Yeah, sometimes it's
Yeah.
a ruler.
Sometimes it's just a ruler. All right, well, let's get to the meat of the morning show this morning, and it's all about outerwear. And Courtney, I think you're going to kind of take the lead on this section for us.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about outerwear. It's really, it's very fitting for this time of year because we're starting to hit those colder months. And when we think about outerwear, a lot of people think about, obviously, the soft shell jackets, the 3-in-1s, the huge insulated jackets, but it really encompasses a lot of things that we see in the early fall as well as the spring, because outerwear is essentially anything that covers a t-shirt or a tank top. So a zip-up, quarter zip performance wear jacket, to a heavy, bulky jacket. There's all kinds of range of things that you can print. And the biggest potential with them is that they offer a lot of options to make money as decorators start to print these items that are a little bit higher margin and a little bit more profitable.
Yeah, so the work that's required to decorate a piece of outerwear is usually, at least in the heat printing realm, it's usually the same. You're locking down the heat press for the same amount of time, temperature and pressure that you would be on a t-shirt. However, the jacket or the outerwear piece itself costs more than what a t-shirt, what our average t-shirt costs, what, anywhere two to $3,
$3,
something like that, where the outerwear items that you're going to be selling, your cost is definitely into the double digits, sometimes upwards of $100, depending on the items that you choose to decorate.
Yeah, and that's the big risk. That's why a lot of people try to stay away from jackets, and they're worried about printing them because, the greater the risk, the greater there is a chance they'll ruin them, and the cost is going to be a lot more significant to take and eat it rather than a t-shirt. But I think we'll see, and we'll talk more about material considerations in printing, that as far as heat printing goes, and even embroidery, they're very easy to decorate as long as you have the right tools and you're making sure items are getting the right material to stick to the right fabric and items are getting flat on your heat press.
Okay, so you've kind of defined for us what outerwear is, that it's anything that's going to be layered on top of something else, not necessarily something that we would wear outdoors, right? And we've also talked a little bit about profit potential. What about the resource that Sanmar recently launched that kind of gives us a really good overview of the markets that outerwear can hit?
Yeah, and I brought this to show, I'll just bring it up on my computer real quickly, but it really walks into what we're seeing for the potential of selling outerwear and accessories. And Sanmar did a great job of breaking it out into 3 different markets. So the first one, where they're thinking dependability, is kind of that workwear market. The second one focuses a lot on corporate apparel, and the third one focuses a lot on the tourism resort aspect of adventure. And it really does a great job of breaking down, because of course these are 3 huge markets you can sell outerwear to, but the outerwear that you choose for these customers is going to be different depending on their needs. And so if I'm selling to a road crew or somebody who's going to be outdoors, maybe a construction group, then the products I'm choosing may have some reflective on them. So they brought out some of the reflective items that are available specifically from Sanmar, items you can choose from large heavy jackets to lightweight thin jackets as well. So there's a lot of options there. Options for just simple jackets that are outdoors, so the standard ones that are kind of your wear and tear, these ones are great jackets as well. And then there's a huge opportunity for markets and people that are outdoors for long periods of time, maybe on a job site throughout the year. And so this tends to be a lot of those duck cloth lined jackets, a lot of those canvas style jackets that are very heavyweight. And so they source those as well. And just, it's a huge opportunity to sell into these. A lot of apparel decorators may already be printing t-shirts or screen printing t-shirts for these markets. And so this gives you an option for selling their jackets and outerwear when the weather becomes cold as well.
So I see on the right-hand side there, if you can just hold there for one more second, it looks like Sanmar's kind of already done the homework for us on what's important to the folks who are going to be buying these items, to where we know what features to try and sell them.
Yeah, and they even mentioned that the workwear market's going to generate a revenue of over $10 billion. And so there's a huge opportunity if you're not selling into this market to start looking for customers in your area. ANSI certifications are big for anybody who's going to be outdoor near roadsides. So we see it a lot for police, EMS. We see it a lot even for road crews, construction companies, anybody who's outdoors in low light conditions, early morning, late evening, which we have a lot more here in the fall and winter.
Yeah.
Durability, the water resistance in products as well are two things that a lot of people look at when they're actually looking at the blank that they're choosing for their employees.
Okay. So moving from the dependability or the outdoor kind of workwear market, what was the second market that Sanmar
The second market that they talk about is corporate apparel. And so this is kind of the idea, and ASI did a study a while back and just shows the ability to be able to have a higher recall rate and really a higher perceived value for outerwear. So whether you're printing these for your employees or office staff or maybe giving them away to higher end customers, these are going to be items that are a lot more fashionable. So at first we looked at function in a jacket capacity. This one's going to focus a lot more on fashion. And so the styles that we're seeing here are more popular, they're more fitted, they've got a lot more detailing in the piping and the striping on the jackets. If I scroll down a little bit here to some of the more soft shell 3-in-1 jackets, you're seeing more color blocking, you're seeing more decoration in the pocket on this orange jacket, more fitted in the way that they're just constructed and the way they bring seams throughout these items as well.
So for those of us not familiar with the ASI market and kind of the terms that they use, how would you define what a recall rate is and why is that important?
So recall rate is the ability for a customer to recall that brand. And so if you're selling into promotional products and I'm selling jackets, then there's a higher perceived value and a higher recall rate. So I'm more likely to remember that brand when I go to purchase something because of that higher end item that they had given me.
Okay, that makes sense. And what's the third market that they have lined out for us?
The third market that we have here is going to be adventure. So this is kind of a new market for a lot of decorators, but if you have hotspots or outdoor sporting events in your location, then this gives you a great opportunity to also sell into that market. Again, we're seeing more higher end items. There's some things that create more opportunity with this market, and Sanmar even mentions that the logoed outerwear in this respect gives an average of 2,650 impressions over its lifetime, and that was actually sourced from the ASI study as well, but we're seeing a high amount of impressions again from logoed apparel and companies that have that. And so they focus a lot on items that are wind resistant, water resistant, and have that outdoor nature to be able to be worn in these types of conditions.
Okay. So one of the biggest questions that we get when it comes to outerwear isn't necessarily what item should I get or what item is going to sell the best, but how do I print this particular item? And I know Sanmar has some built-in features of a lot of their garments that allow them to be more easily printable. Sanmar has designed their garments kind of with heat printing or other types of printing in mind.
They do, yeah. So they design them with what's called a port pocket, and those pockets, and we'll show you it over at the heat press, but it basically allows you to get the item flat and print in a more successful way.
Okay, you want to step over there and show us that?
Yeah.
While Courtney's moving over there, if you want access to that resource, you can visit sanmar.com, and it is under their marketing section that you can visit and download that, along with other resources that are linked to that particular outerwear resource. So we'll throw it over to Courtney at the heat press, and she is going to show us how to get a jacket to lay flat.
Yes, and so when we start to think about getting items flat, of course there's a lot of things to consider. There's zippers, there's seams, there's pockets, and all of that bulk tends to get into the way. And so we have to isolate the print area in a few ways. A big way to do this a lot of the time is with interchangeable platens. And so to print the back of this jacket, I've actually loaded in a smaller 11 by 15 platen. And then Sanmar's jackets, if you look when you purchase them, they tend to have what's called a port pocket. It was originally designed for printing, for embroidery, but I can unzip these pockets and use them just as easily with heat printing as well. And so it allows me to completely open that pocket and remove that mesh liner, which if you've ever printed jackets before, you've probably noticed that sometimes that mesh liner prints through to the back of the item. Just gonna grab in there, there we go. So now I can load this item flat onto my Fusion. and I'm able to isolate completely from that polyester mesh liner. I'm getting those zippers and seams and everything falling below my heat press, and so that gives me my flat surface. Now I can use that same pocket and another small platen like a 6x10 or a 4x4 and be able to print that front location as well and get a nice left chest print. Now if your heat press doesn't allow for interchangeable platens, then another option would be to leverage that port pocket and leverage smaller printing accessories like a heat printing pillow, which would be this little pillow here. They come in a variety of sizes, or a Print Perfect pad. The key is no matter what I'm doing, I need to be able to isolate that print area so that the seams, zippers, and all of that bulk is not in the way. And so I can do that even just by raising them with simple pads or pillows as well. So that gives a couple of different ways that we can decorate and think about printing. Of course, accessories make a big difference. Also considerations for plastic. So if you have plastic zippers, where a lot of jackets that are higher end, soft shell 3-in-1, where the bulkier jackets are going to have metal zippers, so you're not going to run into challenges with those as long as you're getting them off from your print location. But if we're worried about plastic melting, another tip would be to use a cover sheet like a flexible application pad just over that plastic area of the zipper to cover it and keep it from heating if it's up underneath the heat press and you're not able to isolate it with a different interchangeable platen. So that gives some tips for actually isolating the print area. I'm going to come back over to the table here with you, Zach, and just talk a little bit about material considerations, because most jackets I think that we look at are usually a polyester or a cotton base, but we obviously have some considerations for nylon as well.
Yeah, for nylon, we reviewed this actually in last week's episode. We talked about all the different CAD cut materials that is kind of in the Stahls family, and Gorilla Grip 2 is a great option for nylon. It applies very quickly at a low temperature, and if you're dealing with nylons, the key is find something that is specifically designed for nylon. You could also start dealing with Lycra or other stretch fabrics as well. I would encourage you to reference actually the episode from last week all about the heat transfer films. But even if you have a heat transfer manufacturer, let them know the material that you're working with, and 9 times out of 10 they will have a solution, or at least be able to tell you that they don't have a solution for what you're trying to apply to.
Right, so it's definitely understanding the fabric you're decorating. And I tend to find that the nylon adhesive products tend to work better on waterproof garments as well. So if that's a concern and you're worried about waterproofing, obviously having a stronger adhesive will help. There's some tips that I've seen used throughout the industry of even just trying to remove that waterproof coating if the jacket's the type that has the coating placed after it's been manufactured. You may be able to get that off with something like an acetone remover to get the waterproof coating off.
Okay. Or you can always go with embroidery.
Or you could always go with embroidery as well.
Which kind of ruins the whole waterproofing because you're punching holes in the garment. So that's why most people don't. But all right, so that wraps up our quick review of outerwear. I would encourage you to visit sanmar.com to pick up that resource under their marketing materials. Next week episode we have, who's hosting for us?
It's actually me and Karen.
Karen.
Yeah, so I'll be back for another week.
All right, and you're talking about different fits and fabrics.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about different fits and choosing the right garment for your customer and being able to understand the differences between fabrics and garments and how you're selecting them.
Will there be a feature on maternity?
I don't think so.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
Nothing really fits good at that stage.
Yeah, good point. All right, well, thanks for joining us this morning. This has been the Stahls TV Morning Show. We'll see you next week.
See you then.